Hello and welcome to the number one championship podcast. It's the second tier. I'm Ryan Dilks and it's our first ever live weekend show, of course. I'm joined, as always, by the Brad Collins to my Carl Rushworth. It's Justin Peach.
Good day to you, Ryan.
Here we are, Justin, doing the weekend show, and it's live. For the first time ever, it's unfiltered championship reaction straight out the oven.
Oh, yeah, straight out the oven. It's hot. It's coming at you. Don't touch it too much, otherwise it will burn your fingers. Don't know why I'm going with that, but yeah, it works. It works.
Yeah, it's live. Anything could happen. Producer Tom can't edit out Justin's really radical political opinions when it's live. Don't get him started on Greenland, my word. So it promises to be a roller coaster hour here on the second tier. If you are watching us live on this Sunday evening, then thank you so much for joining us and get involved in the conversation. We'll be reading out your comments and questions as we run through the weekend's action. So let's begin with the M69 derby, where Coventry City came from a goal behind to beat big rivals Leicester 2-1. Three-word reviews for Coventry. Sky Blue J says back on track. Zebedee says Frankie's halftime talk. Phil says beat the scum. Frank's at the wheel says we are back. The H Machine says mind the gap for Leicester. Nifty Palm says Jekyll and Hyde. Bempo says don't watch football. Jake says entirely effing predictable. Yeah, we've made a big song and dance over Coventry's recent wobble, haven't we, Justin? This was just their third win in 10 games. So very much needed this result.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, what a game to relieve the pressure in, right? A derby, a ferocious derby, but also the manner of the win as well. Coming from behind in a really passive first half. I thought they were really passive, poor, quite vulnerable. And that second half came and it was just, switch went on, it bang. It felt like the Coventry we saw in the first third of the season. So, yeah, it's not a turnaround yet, but in terms of getting that motor going, this is a great way to do it.
Yeah. Well, when Leicester went ahead, I thought, here we go. Yeah. It's happening again. And yeah, you're right. The first half in general, Leicester had the better chances. It was a competitive half, but Cov looked more like the nervy side who have become pretty used to recently. But then they came out of the traps in the second half, played really well. I think the early goal in the second half was massive in helping to calm any nerves, which may have been about. And then from then on, it always looked like Cov were the more likely, didn't it? And that goal eventually came with Haji Wright getting on the end of Tatsuhiro Sakamoto's shot in the 85th minute. Luke Thomas bizarrely falling over in the build-up. I've watched that over and over again, Justin. I have no idea what he's doing there.
Sakamoto's not a big guy either.
No. It's not like he's been pushed off the ball by blooming prime Drogba, is it?
No, exactly. Luke Thomas made Sakamoto look the size of Arnold Schwarzenegger, for goodness sake. It's probably actually quite pathetic from Thomas because there's not even any momentum. He just falls backwards. No. He's not even at an age where he should be falling. It's not like you've not messaged a grandparent for a while and they've had a fall to get your attention again. They're just saying it's not what you want a homegrown player to do in a local derby, is it?
No, and I've seen a lot of Cov fans make some memes of Luke Thomas, basically, with his legs in the air, looking like he's giving birth. But yeah, it was a very... I don't know what he was trying to do, whether he was trying to win a free kick or whether he just did fall over like that. It's weird.
It's easier to do that than it is to actually defend from Leicester's point of view, isn't it? That's what I got from it. It was just really, really poor from him. Really poor.
Yeah, absolutely. But what a moment for Coventry. And what a moment for Haji Wright, who's been well out of form, hasn't he? We've spoken about that a lot as of Coventry fans, but this was his first goal since the start of October. What a finish as well.
Hey, you got to. You don't buy a ticket, Ryan. That's the cliche. Let me throw. You don't buy tickets in the right place at the right time. Fox in the box is Haji. Right place, right time.
Yes, good. Okay,
it is massive. One assist in 14 he's got since the 4th of October, which was when he scored against Sheffield Wednesday. And let's be honest, it's been an awful run of form. And it's not like he's not had chances either.
Yeah,
he has. He's had a lot of chances. His movement's always been brilliant. There were good moments in this game. But getting that goal, albeit a yard off the line, like that they always say, sometimes you just want something to come off your arse. And this was as close as you get, maybe.
Yeah, you're right. He has missed so many big chances in that time as well. So when you say he's been out of form, this was as out of form as you get, really, wasn't it? Which you don't really expect with a player like him, who we know is very talented and is
£200 million player, Ryan.
Yeah, absolutely. He's usually a very reliable goal scorer at this level, and he looked like a man who had been frustrated after he scored. So a much needed goal for him and a much needed win for Coventry. And look, as we say, their third win in 10 games, and it could be huge in the grand scheme of this season. This win, couldn't it? Particularly when it comes to getting their promotion push back on track.
Yeah, definitely, and it could be huge. You don't know until the follow up game. That's the narrative we've thrown at Ipswich is trying to follow up win after win after win, and Coventry have done it because they set the standard in the first third of the season. But that drop off, the defensive vulnerabilities that have crept in, the goals starting to dry up, they became a problem. And this isn't a fix by any means, but it can be the start. And what we saw are elements of that Coventry team we saw in the first third of the season. They pressed with aggression. They pressed with purpose. They camped Leicester in Leicester's half, and there was so much excitement coming from the game. Romain S hit the post from a chance where Coventry forced Leicester into losing the ball. And as I say, the first half, they were at risk of letting the game pass them by. It was so bad. So to get the goal in the 46th minute, whatever it was, by Ellis Sims, albeit a funny goal in itself, it adds, or it releases a little bit of pressure, a little bit of relief, and that's what you felt at the end of the game with the celebrations. It just felt like a lot of relief had just left the group.
Yeah. Well, if Haji Wright didn't get that winner, then it would have just cranked up the pressure even more on Cov, wouldn't it? Especially with Ipswich, Middlesbrough, and Millwall all winning as well. But look, wins breed confidence, and Coventry have looked like they have struggled with that recently. But Sheffield United showed earlier in the season how big a derby win can be in starting a run of form. Coventry will obviously be hoping that's the case here. Defensively, still question marks. I don't think they're going to be going away anytime soon. But this was just the second time in 10 games where they've scored more than once. The goals have really dried up for them a fair bit, haven't they? Yeah. Haji Wright getting on the score sheet, though, albeit with one of the easiest goals of his career, could lead to him finding form again because his confidence has been on the floor. So a huge result for Coventry, and it could be a turning point in their season. That's how big I think this could be. And we'll find out this coming week, won't we? They've got Millwall at home on Tuesday, which is a big game, with them being fourth, and then they're away at Norwich next weekend. So we'll see if they can build upon this. What we're thinking with Leicester after this, Justin, is it's not really one that follows our usual narrative over the course of the season, I don't think, is it?
I don't know. I feel like it's a missed opportunity for them. I'm going to be probably more critical than many might be. They needed a second goal. It never came. You probably need a third goal as well at the CBS because of the way Coventry can turn a game around. So you're asking a lot of a relatively poor Leicester side to go out and get 3 first-half goals against a very good Coventry team. But I would say it was a missed opportunity because the first half, Leicester more than deserved the lead. But the way Coventry came out, Leicester looked shell-shocked. And in that second half, it didn't feel like Leicester were playing in a derby. So in terms of what I'm thinking with Leicester after this, I'm unchanged. I think they're a poor side, propped up with a couple of really good individuals. Like poor Jordan James and Bobby Decordova-Reid. They're doing their absolute best to keep this team going because, quite frankly, it's garbage. That's all I can say. It's really hard to find anything too positive. Cifuentes said they need to be more clinical. I think they need to be braver. I think they need to be more accountable over being clinical. If they're braver and accountable and have a bit of backbone, they can defend a lead rather than having to chase another goal. So I don't buy into the clinical aspect. You've got to be better at defending the box, and 21 games without a clean sheet, just 3 clean sheets all season, tells you the story.
Yeah, that absolutely does. We've got a comment here from Realms of the Possible. We have Torp and Asante back, going to be back to normal. More wins to come. Yes, if you are watching us live on this Sunday evening, then hello. Please leave a comment and ask us any questions that you want. We'll try to read out as many as we can over the coming hour. But going back to Leicester, I think, to be fair, I think this was actually one of their better performances I've seen from them this season, although as regular listeners will know, I think that bar is quite low. The big con in my eyes is that it wasn't a massive surprise how the game turned out after Coventry got a goal back, because this Leicester side is so mentally fragile, almost as fragile as Luke Thomas was with his defending for the Coventry winner. But look, we've seen them capitulate multiple times after having any form of setback. It's nothing new at all, but I won't be as critical of Leicester here as I usually am, because I think they actually did all right here. Whether that saves Marty Cifuentes from scrutiny going forwards, I doubt it, because Leicester fans are still very, very frustrated with him, and they're always obviously going to be more frustrated after losing in a big derby game. In an incredible game on Friday night, a 90th minute winner from Delano Bergzorg saw Middlesbrough beat West Brom 3-2 after nearly throwing away a 2-goal lead. 3-word reviews for Middlesbrough. UTB says, holy fucking hellball. Yes, this was, of course, Eric Ramsey's first game in charge of West Brom. Welcome to the Championship, Eric. What an introduction this was, Justin.
Yeah. I mean, throwing away a 2-goal lead is something. Middlesbrough did throw away a 2-goal lead, and calling this game, as amazing as it was, I feel it might be a bit of a stretch. I thought it was quite chaotic. It was a bit of the Championship. Chaotic, but a bit bland. It's like when you eat the crust of a sandwich first, get the dry bit out of the way, then the last 20 minutes of this game I felt was the moist, flavoursome middle bit of cheese sandwich. That's what I take away from this exciting Friday night fixture.
Okay. Feels like you're unnecessarily doing it a disservice, because, I mean, it was just a roller coaster of a game. You are right. It was a bit of a slow burner, the second half. Though I just could not take my eyes away, because Middlesbrough went 2 up after 60 minutes, including a very funny own goal by Charlie Taylor. It's one of those where it's deflected off the post onto him, and usually the defender can do nothing about it. But I did look at this one and think, you sure you couldn't do anything? Could you have not really not stopped that? Very strange. Then West Brom got it back level, including from a free kick from Isaac Price, which definitely was a penalty. For some reason, no West Brom players said it was in the box. Not that it mattered anyway. But after West Brom got it back level, you just thought, if anyone was going to win it, it would be the Albion. And then up popped Delano Bergzorg with a superb finish to create utter pandemonium in the away end. A brilliant ending to a brilliant game. And what a win for Middlesbrough to make it back-to-back victories after that little 4-game dip, Justin.
Yeah, it's almost forgotten, because it feels like a long time ago now. But this is a huge win. Obviously, you've come away from it and you're disappointed conceding 2 goals. But to be honest, other than Auna Hegebo having a chance in the first 3 minutes and then his brilliant swivel and shot outside the box, I just don't think West Brom offered a hell of a lot. So credit to Middlesbrough in that sense. Obviously, the free kick / penalty you can excuse, because it's a well-hit shot. Maybe Solbrin could have done something about it. And then Jad Wallace's equaliser was an unfortunate deflection, wasn't it, into his path. So I think the conceding the 2 is frustrating, but I'd have put this game into the category of a professional away win. So for them to come away with the 3 points, the character to go again after conceding the second, I think is tremendous. And it's certainly a credential of a team pushing for promotion, I think.
Yeah, well, I wasn't sure if Middlesbrough would be back on course for this game, because they obviously had that incredible second half against Southampton, but the 4.5 games prior to that weren't great. Plus, Southampton haven't exactly been flourishing recently, as we'll get onto a bit later on. So it was going to be interesting to see how Middlesbrough did in this game. And aside from the 10 minutes where they nearly blew it, I think it was promising. I think you're right. A professional away performance is how I'd give it for the 80 minutes, apart from that 10 minutes. But I think the resilience to bounce back and get the winner after dropping the 2-goal lead really does make this a statement result, particularly because, as well, West Brom had only lost twice at home in the league all season. It's a tough place to go, isn't it? So when you see results like this, it really does make you think maybe Middlesbrough do have the minerals to get automatically promoted this season. I think the big thing is, obviously, Coventry and Ipswich both won as well. So it means you're keeping the pace with them, first and foremost. But also, Borough had, without a doubt, the trickiest game out of the 3 of them. So it looks like they're back on track. And seemingly showing more and more evidence that they have what it takes to go up automatically. Justin, would you agree with that?
This is the sort of win that does lend to that. Yeah, you look at Ipswich a couple of years ago, how many late wins did they pull out their backsides? But I think when you've got a little bit of chaos and the game swings as quick as that, but you're able to recover it and do so with composure as well. The Bergzorg goal wasn't a hit and hope. It wasn't a get the ball into the final third. It was well worked. It was really good stuff. Yeah. And that's a well-coached team with the resilience, like you said, and the grit to just go again, get another shot on board. When you've got players like Delano Bergzorg chipping in, he's not scored in his previous 21 games, so he's got the composure for that. It's really, really good stuff. Hayden Hackney was tremendous throughout this. He seems to be peaking at a good time. His run for the second goal was fantastic. That unwillingness to quit, I think, is a promotion contender trait. You've just got to keep going with it, keep doing it, keep repeating it. It's going to be bumpy. It's going to be chaotic. if you keep showing that, then yes, you do deserve to go up. But you've got a lot of football to be played yet.
Yeah, absolutely. But how often do we see a team throw away a 2-goal lead and then go on to get the winner anyway? Usually, 9 times out of 10, it goes, if anyone's going to get the winner, it goes to the side who have just pulled back the 2-goal lead, doesn't it? So that's why this is such an impressive result. This is a comment from Evil Spirit, who says Adelson, Malanda and Hayden Hackney are on fire. Samuel Silvera's comeback over the past few games has been impressive too. Yeah, Silvera's got goals in back-to-back games now in the Championship. So, yeah, all looking very good for Middlesbrough. Dare I say, Justin, that Coventry may be the one who they're aiming for when it comes to promotion, because we'll talk about Ipswich very shortly. But even though they're outside the top 2, they might be looking like they're less vulnerable than Cov. So either way, Borough just need to keep the pressure on them as much as they can, can't they? They've got a tricky trip to Stoke on Wednesday, so we'll see if they can do just that and get a result there. A quick word on West Brom then, Justin, because, of course, Eric Ramsey's first game in charge, obviously a disappointing result, but I think there's positives to take away from here, would you say?
I'm interested to know what positives you're taking away from it. I need to see more games. I thought they were too defensive at home. Obviously, you're up against tough opposition. You're going to have that element to your game plan. I thought Arne Hegebo looked isolated, other than that first chance that I've mentioned and the one that he fashioned by himself. Don't think he had a lot of service. I think they did a reasonably good job of nullifying a very good Borough side, but they still gave chances away. I thought they were defending too deep. I saw a heat map on social media. I think Sky put it out, actually, which was quite telling, and you can imagine how clogged the central areas was. Mikey Johnston starting at right wing back was an alarm bell for me as well. His best attacking work has come as a left winger. I know he's played on the right and got assists from there as well, but I just don't understand why you'd shoehorn your best attacking outlet into a defensive role. Don't think that was the right move. I need to see a few more games to believe that Eric Ramsey's got the strategy to pull West Brom out of it or into a position where they can push for mid-table, because, as I say, I thought they were too negative, too defensive here.
Okay. I mean, that feels a bit harsh considering it's his first game in charge and he's only been there a matter of days. But I think from my perspective, if I'm taking a more positive spin on things, I think it did seem a bit more like what we saw under Ryan Mason to a degree, because they played pretty well in the second half, didn't get the result. And maybe they were a bit overly defensive at times. And yeah, Mikey Johnston at right wing back is a bit of a head scratcher. But look, I think West Brom have the right to say they deserved something here, not to say Borough didn't deserve it. But as far as first games go, this was a tricky start for Eric Ramsey. He's not had a massive amount of time to work with the players. He's going to learn more about his squad after a game like this. They've got Norwich at home on Tuesday, which looks like a big game when you look at the table, because they're not too far apart. I don't think West Brom will go down. I've said that many times during this rough period that they're in, but if the results don't turn soon, then they could be looking over their shoulder. So yeah, we'll need some results on the board sooner rather than later. Let's have a look back at how we did with our predictions in Friday's preview show, ladies and gents. And well, how the turntables, after weeks of us being at very different ends of the form table. Justin Peach only went and got a full house. His banker came in of Ipswich to beat Blackburn, as well as his outsider, which was Derby, to win at Preston. Meanwhile, I drew a blank. There was no luck with my banker of West Brom to beat Borough, or my outsider, which was Swansea, to beat Birmingham. It means the scores now 28-18 to myself. So still a long way to go, but it's a start nonetheless, Justin.
More weeks like that, Ryan, and it won't last very long, will it? I'm just going to say that.
I mean, the whole point is that there haven't been any weeks like that up until this point. So that goes kind of against your theory.
Got the bit between my teeth now, and getting the Derby result right. Just to double down on that, it was the worst game I've ever watched in my life.
Yeah,
it was
wasn't
awful.
great.
Pitch was terrible. Game was crap. But it doesn't matter. Got me some much needed outsider points, and that's what we come here for.
Yeah, big Pat Adjumang doing the business again on the road for the Rams. But yeah, still a 10-point gap, so I'm not exactly worried or anything just yet. But we're back with another round of predictions next Friday. If you are enjoying today's show, ladies and gents, then now is the perfect time to sign up for our second tier YouTube membership community, because for just £4.99 a month, you get access to custom emojis to use in these live streams and the comment section of every YouTube video. I think Mick McCarthy's face is included included in there. And why wouldn't you want to use that in the comments section? You'll also get access to the Secretary Discord, where you can chat to us and loads of other Championship fans. And in addition to that, you'll get an exclusive bonus video from us every single week. All you need to do is hit the join icon right next to the subscribe button to sign up right now. As I say, we are live here tonight. Thank you for joining us. If you are watching this live, we'll read out as many comments and questions from you guys as we can over the coming few minutes or so. Let's go to the next game, which is Ipswich Town, who have won 3 games in a row for the first time this season. It's after they cruised past Blackburn 3-0. 3 reviews for Ipswich. Mauricio on our Patreon says, tractor ploughs on. Alf says, starting to motor for Blackburn. Blackburn Dave on our Patreon says, worryingly toothless again. Jack says, just relegate us. Alex says, sell the club. Yeah, this was a walk in the park for Ipswich, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a very straightforward afternoon. You're going to get that when Aaron Cashin fires into his own goal 3 minutes into the game, despite having no reason to do that at all. So much time to touch the ball, turn it, and everything. So yeah, when things are going to go your way, it's going to go your way. I think the 2 early goals are nerve settlers, weren't they? Obviously, Jack Taylor getting the goal after 12 minutes as well. Mainly because Ipswich have created a bit of habit of not killing games often enough and giving opposition a little bit too much room to manoeuvre. But this one was 2 early goals, complete control, and that second half was, I think, as good as I've seen Ipswich control a game pretty much all season, really.
Yeah, well, it was a nicer walk in the park than the reverse fixture between these two, wasn't it? Which was more of a swim in the park, wasn't it? So, but yeah, I did look at Aaron Cashin scoring that own goal after 3 minutes, thinking to myself, come on, mate, I've just offended you in midweek. Why are you doing that to me? It wasn't good. But the early goal meant Ipswich could just go into cruise control, couldn't they? And the only criticism you can have of them is that they didn't score more in this one. Very much enjoyed Marcelino Nunez nearly scoring a bicycle kick while lying on the floor.
Oh, yeah.
One of the most bizarre shots I've seen this season. But yeah, very, very comfortable for Ipswich. And it's now 3 wins on the bounce in the league for the first time this season. I've mentioned that a few times recently. It's a bit mad that that's only the first time this season that they've managed to win 3 games in a row. But it's 6 straight wins at Portman Road as well. Starting to look ominous, Justin, aren't they?
Ominous for who, Ryan?
For a certain couple of teams possibly occupying the top 2, I would say.
Yeah, they are. They are. The manner of this game, I think, was the most impressive thing. For example, like I alluded to, Ipswich were much better in the second half, despite that comfortability. So for me, that killer instinct, that drive to completely dominate an opposing team was there. In addition, the scary thing, the ominous thing you've got to consider here is individuals. Individuals who looked sensational in this game. Marcelino Nunez looked so bloody good. Wale Eagerly looked such a threat as well. Matasiwa and Jack Taylor in the midfield had a lot of energy in controlling that double pivot, which is quite scary because there's so much quality, as we know, laying around Portman Road. It's just unlocking the consistency with it, and it does seem to be getting better. Then you've got Sammy Schmodix, Jens Kajus, and Wes Burns all combining for the 3rd goal as well. They all came off the bench. The strength in depth that was on display in this game, this is a big example of what you've got in terms of quality, and that's the ominous thing, I think, for Ipswich.
Yeah, that's everything you're reeling off there is just absolutely true, isn't it? It's ridiculous, really, that they have struggled as much as they have done this season when they have got that much strength in depth. Got a couple of comments here. This is from Mikey, who says, I didn't know Aaron Cashin was that lethal in front of goal. Justin was right. Rob says, I think Blackburn forgot how to play football on a decent pitch. They were terrible aside from their goalkeeper. Marcelino Nunez was quality for Town once again. Yeah, echoing everything you just said there, Justin. I'm increasingly getting the sense that Ipswich are looking nailed on to go up, I think. And I say that because they've barely put a run of form together all season, yet find themselves 3rd. And it appears that their best is very much on the horizon. The way they were moving the ball around against Blackburn, it did have similarities with the Ipswich side from a couple of seasons ago. I think it was slick and silky stuff. And now 3 wins on the trot for the first time in the league this season, started to look like they've got a bit of swagger about them. So that's why, despite them only being in the top 2 once all season, I'm starting to think they might be the ones in the driving seat now, Justin.
I don't know how to answer that. Mainly because Coventry are top, they look the most comfortable. They've got...
Well, of course they do, yeah. When you look at the table, Coventry are very much in the driving seat, but if someone was going to hold a gun to my head right now and say which one's getting promoted out of those two, I would say Ipswich personally.
If we look at it from a Grand Theft Auto point of view, Coventry and Middlesbrough.
Where's this going?
Coventry and Middlesbrough are in the seats, aren't they? Coventry, they're in the driving seat. Middlesbrough in the passenger seat, and Ipswich are doing that thing where they walk up to the car, dramatically open the door, and punch one of them. It just depends which side of the car they're at. Are they on the passenger side or in the driver's side? So that's where I'm going with that. So I can't say Ipswich are in the driving seat for promotion because they don't occupy the front two seats of the car yet.
Yeah, I guess. Definitely one
Told
moment.
you I didn't know how to answer it.
Just got this image now of Kieran McKenna carjacking Frank Lampard. It's just not how I expected the show to go. But yeah, I mean, I think that's a pretty good description of how Ipswich are looking right now, because it does look like they are about to rip Frank Lampard out of the driving seat. I still think they need to sign a striker this month.
Yes.
That is absolutely the case. But if they do get that done, then they may be irresistible. Finding one who's available and able to link up the play as well as score goals is always going to be difficult. But they've got the resources, haven't they? They have been dealt a blow because Jadon Philogene went off injured in this game. It's not clear how long he'll be out for, but I'm not sure there's ever been a case like this before where a team might be without their best player for a while and it not make that much of a difference, because Jack Clarke is not a bad player to have in reserve, is he? So yeah, Ipswich looking very strong. They've got Bristol City at home on Tuesday, which does see Sam Morsey return to Portman Road, which is a nice little note there. But will Ipswich make it 7 home wins on the bounce and keep the pressure on the top two? We shall see. Let's go to Millwall, who are back up to 4th with a 2-0 victory at inform Watford. 3 road reviews for Millwall. Elmo says, very good indeed. Rhino says, what a team. Prior to this game, only Coventry had won more points at home than Watford. So what a result for the Wall, Justin.
Yeah, a strange game in a sense that Watford never really showed up for it, which is a surprise with that home record. But full credit to Millwall.
They've been in form as well recently. They've been really, really impressive recently, Watford. So it was strange why they were so poor here.
Yeah, one of the form teams over Christmas. But I think the game plan of being physically imposing from a Millwall point of view really played to their strengths and got that result over the line, because this was a game that was complete dominance. It was a really good all-round performance from Millwall, which was full of quality, energy, robustness. You can argue that even before they score their first, Millwall should have been at least 2 or 3 up, and it's probably frustrating that they weren't. But credit to them. A side note from this: a lot of people have been complaining about Watford's players rolling around, feigning injury, which may tell you exactly which way the game went, if you like.
Maybe. I just want to give a mention before I forget about it. There was a moment in this game where the ball boy stopped the ball while it was still in play, and that led to that poor lad getting an absolutely torrid time from the
in front of the Millwall fans.
In front of the Millwall fans. Why? Out of every fan base, you had to do it in front of. Why do it in front of them? Yeah. So yeah, he had an interesting afternoon. Got a comment here from Jamie who says, Millwall's injury crisis is over and it's the best we looked all season. Oh, Casper Dinara. Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with anything that Jamie has said right there, because Millwall fully deserved it in this game. As we say, with Watford's home record and their form in general, 1-4 on the bounce heading into this, and have been very impressive. It's pretty surprising that Millwall were much the better side. Don't get me wrong, they're obviously a very good team, but I was not expecting as big a gap in this game as there was. And yeah, you're absolutely spot on. The main surprise was that it took them until the 69th minute to go ahead, because they had plenty of chances prior to that. Whereas Watford didn't have much. Mark Barlow probably had their best chance, but that was about it. So a very impressive showing from Millwall. And look, they've been hovering around the top 2 picture for a while now. They're only 3 points off second. So I think if anyone is going to have a conversation about the top 2, I don't think they can be left out, Justin. They can't be completely ruled out, can they, the Wall?
Not at this stage of the season, no, but it is a long way. And if I was to say, are they in the conversation for top 2? No, I don't think they are. I'd love to be wrong. Yeah, I just think it's just whether enough. You've got to look a little bit longer term than what's going on now, and it's just whether or not they've got enough to last the course. If I have doubts about Coventry's squad depth, for example, then I'm going to have the same concern with Millwall. That being said, they have missed so many players over the last 3 months or so, and have found themselves in a position that they're in now. Obviously, in your eyes, in the conversation of the top two, so that maybe contradicts my point slightly. But as we know, I think having your best squad available doesn't always mean the best results either. There's a lot of variables to the Championship that are very hard to predict. But to circle back to my original point, I would love to be wrong. I would love for Millwall to get into that top two and really, really shake the feathers off the bird. I don't know what the saying is.
No, I don't know what saying you're trying to go for there either, but I get the sentiment behind it either way.
Feathers, there you go.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Millwall are no strangers to ruffling some feathers, are they? And they definitely want to do that with the top two of this season. I think I would disagree with you. Don't get me wrong, they're very much the outsiders when you're talking about automatic promotion, considering we've got a bit of a top four, which is developed into some degree. But I just look at them, they've got a great manager in Alex Neil, and they've got a very talented squad. I think they're in a similar mould to Ipswich for me, where I don't think they've been great this season, yet still find themselves fourth. And their best maybe about to come if this game's anything to go by, because they've been hampered quite badly with injuries recently. But you look at this game, Josh Coburn making his first league appearance since October, 2 goals in 2 for him now in League and Cup. Casper Denora back for this game, having not played since the start of December. He's such a big player for them in midfield. Barely had any midfielders available for the past few weeks. So I see no reason why they could not find a new gear with players coming back. Obviously, the playoffs is the aim this season, but I think it would be foolish to completely rule them out of the top two, particularly if they get a result away at Coventry on Tuesday, because that is such a big game for both sides, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Millwall's chances will also be helped if they sign well this month. They have been linked with a new goalkeeper. Reports seem to indicate that they might be getting Sunderland's Anthony Patterson on loan, which would be very good, wouldn't it, Justin?
Yeah, I think it'd be a great signing. Obviously been without Lucas Jensen all season long, and he's just picked up a quad injury on his recovery from his Achilles rupture or tear back in April. Not been convinced by Max Crocombe or Stephen Bender. Obviously, Stephen Bender's gone back to Fulham. He's been on loan. So I really would like this. I really would like Patterson at Millwall. He's an accomplished goalkeeper at this level. I think he's really unlucky to still not be Sunderland's number one. Maybe his inexperience has played a role, but he's 25 and he's played a lot of games. Perhaps another couple of seasons in Championship might really propel him forwards. But coming to Millwall, I think he would do a really, really good job. Yeah.
Yeah, it was class for Sunderland last season, wasn't it? I thought he might get a chance in the Premier League, and that's obviously not transpired. He'd be a great pickup, though, for Millwall, because goalkeeper is a bit of a weak spot for them. I think Max Crocombe's done all right this season, but he was never intended to be the first choice. So I'd be very impressed if they do get that done, and it would certainly look like it's really strengthening a bit of a weak spot for them. Speaking of signings, Watford might be about to pull off a very eye-catching move, Justin. They've been linked with Italian midfielder Edoardo Bove. The 23-year-old had been a regular for Roma before moving on loan to Fiorentina. And it's a pretty unique situation as to why he's available, because he hasn't played since collapsing on the pitch while playing for Fiorentina in December 2024. It was very grim scenes at the time. He's since had surgery to fit a defibrillator, but in Italy, you're not allowed to play with one. So he's had his contract terminated at Roma, and he's now a free agent. So Watford may be swooping in, and while I can't say I've seen him play, Justin, everything I've read about him makes this look like an incredible pickup if it does happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, the same reason why Christian Eriksen left Inter a few years back, and he went to Brentford. But it would be a shrewd move. It really would be. I think you go back across his career, he's played a lot of football for Roma, a hell of a lot of football. Still really, really young as well. Never really nailed his place down as a regular, but coming through the ranks at Roma, he lived the dream, didn't he? He really did. I guess the question is, can he get back to a point where he's comfortable playing? You'd love to see it. I really would. He's described as a passionate player, so having that in the Championship would be fantastic. So hopefully he can just get back to a position where he's rediscovering playing football again. That'd be fantastic, because he's got a lot of years ahead of him.
Yeah, Jose Mourinho used to be a big fan of him when he was at Roma. He called Bove a sick dog due to his intensity and aggressiveness on the pitch. Don't know why that makes him a sick dog, but there you go. But yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned Christian Eriksen, because there does seem to be quite a few similarities with that situation there, because Eriksen was at Inter Milan when he collapsed for Denmark, and that led to his contract there being cancelled. Brentford obviously came in, ended up being a great move for all involved, and this looks like it's quite similar in that regard. We should point out he hasn't played in over a year. So if this move does happen, it will take time for him to build up fitness again. But as you say, a 23-year-old lad who had played 77 games in Serie A by the age of 22 for Roma and Fiorentina, not some, some little minnows over in Italy, potentially getting him on a free transfer will be pretty insane. The main question mark I have is why aren't other clubs looking at him? Because it just seems like he'd be an obviously brilliant signing for so many teams on these shores. Sheffield United were down to 9 men for the entire second half away at Charlton. It's after they had 2 men sent off in the first and ended up losing 1-0. 2 red cards in the first half. I can't ever recall that happening before, Justin.
No, What was the Battle of Bramall Lane? How many red cards was that?
That was carnage, wasn't it? I can't remember exactly how many there were there, but I imagine there must have been 1 in the first half, you'd have thought.
Yeah, definitely different circumstances as well. But yeah, 2 red cards, 2 deserved red cards, let's be honest.
Yeah. Let's make that very clear.
But the reason I bring that up is because Chris Wilder was saying that, especially with Tanganga's red card, is that he didn't mean it. He had eyes for the ball, to quote Chris Wilder. But as long as he didn't mean it, it shouldn't be a red, right? That's what Chris Wilder's saying. Come on, you can't fly through the air like Superman jumping for a header now, can you? You just can't. You can't go fist first into headers in 2026, Ryan. This isn't the 90s anymore. Come off it.
I was just checked the Battle of Bramall Lane. There was 1 red card in the first half of that game.
Escalation.
So, yeah, there you go. It really went on from there. So this game was even more brutal than the Battle of Bramall Lane. We'll make it clear they were both red cards because the first one was Jubal Soumare with a very poorly timed challenge. And then, Japhet Tanganga, a bit too aggressive for that header. That one was just daft, wasn't it? It wasn't poorly timed.
They were both mistimed and clumsy, weren't they? That's what you've got to say.
I'm not sure the second one was clumsy. I think it was more daft because he was just, why have you done that when you're down to 10 men already?
Yeah, why are you flying through the air with your fists raised? Japhet, come on.
Yeah, but Sheffield United, it's got to be pointed out, should have been leading prior to those cards. They missed so many great chances before the sendings off. And that was, in the first 30 minutes? Nathan Jones even admitted he had to thank Thomas Kaminski in the Charlton goal for how heroic he was here. And after the sendings off, it was, unsurprisingly, a very one-sided game because it's quite hard playing with 9 men against 11. You'll be shocked to hear. So, a strange game in many ways, but Sheffield United, nobody to blame for themselves for the red cards and for those missed chances. A great result for Charlton, though. Just their second win in 13 games. We haven't covered it too much, Justin, but they've had quite an alarming drop-off, haven't they, over the past few months? So a much-needed result for them, even if it was a bit fortunate.
Well, yeah, you sort of go to mid-October, and they were in and around the playoffs, weren't they?
Yeah, we were singing their praises every single week, weren't we? And now, now you look at them, what's going on?
Yeah, it's been a crazy drop-off. They've had some injuries as well. It's worth bearing that in mind. But this one, it's a confidence-boosting win, even if it has come against 9 men. The bit of look there is how often do teams go down to 9 men, as we saw. It doesn't happen very often. So it was a swing in a game that Charlton needed because, as you said, Sheffield United were in complete control. Thomas Kaminski's keeping the scores level. But I think with this, just getting the 3 points, getting the clean sheet was absolutely vital. Because even against 9 men, it's not a given that you're going to get the 3 points because Charlton didn't have any momentum. They had to gather that momentum themselves, especially coming into the second half. So you got to credit them for that. Lyndon Dykes coming on, I think he's a clever signing because he already contributes in this game. He's got the assist for Sonny Carey, and if you've got a manager like Nathan Jones who's going to play to the strengths of the players he's got available to him, then you're going to be onto a winner. So, yeah, it was a strange game, but a win's a win, and a win's a win for Charlton. They needed it, yeah.
Yeah, the most Lyndon Dykes assist ever. That wasn't it, knocking down a header. But yeah, he moved to Charlton on a permanent deal from Birmingham on Thursday. A very Nathan Jones signing, so we'll see how he gets on. While we're talking transfers, Justin, this was a link which definitely caught my eye this week. Football Insider says Sheffield United are interested in Ross Barkley. The midfielder has fallen out of favour at Aston Villa, having not started a single game this season. What a move that would be.
On paper, yeah, it'd be a fantastic signing. But his injury record isn't great, and he's going to get the shit kicked out of him at this level. So will he have the hunger for it? Maybe.
Well, you've turned up in a very cynical mood today, because surely if Ross Barkley stays fit, he tears the Championship apart, doesn't he?
He's just not. He's not played at this level for a while, and I feel like the Championships. I wouldn't say it's regressed, but we've entered a cycle of shithousing and Brexit football, if you like, just to throw a phrase in there. Mainly because there's a lot more robustness now, and perhaps it probably likens to when Ross Barkley originally started coming through at this level when he was on loan at a couple of clubs. But look, if you can get the Ross Barkley back to the form that he or a percentage of the form he was displaying at Luton just a couple of years ago, season before last, it's a very good signing. I think you've just got to convince him. But who's a better manager to do that than Chris Wilder?
Well, that's it. That's it. We all know what Ross Barkley can do, and we know what Chris Wilder can do when it comes to getting a player who's perhaps lost his way a bit. And he would be a class above the Championship. You say it's been a while since he last played in the Championship. There's a reason for that, because he's blooming class. So the thing is, will this move actually happen or not? I don't know, because, well, it's all well and good them being interested. Is Ross Barkley interested in dropping down to the Championship? He wants to play football because he's not playing that much for Aston Villa right now. But if it does happen, he would quite obviously be brilliant for any team at this level. It's now 7 games without a win for Southampton, the latest result being a 2-1 defeat at home to Hull City. 3 red reviews for Hull. Coxie says, "Thou do nicely." Lee says, "Injury hit Tigers." Rich says, "Wounded Tigers prevail." Georgie says, "Pure guts." For Southampton, Andy says, "Sideways, backwards, shite." Ethan on our Patreon says, "It can." Steve says, "Relegation fight pending." Yeah, Southampton are in a right old funk, aren't they, Justin?
They've been in a funk all season. They just had that 4 or 5 game spell in October, November when Still got sacked and Eckert took charge and they just picked up wins. But they've been pretty lackluster and annoying and jump starty all season. This isn't anything new. But it all comes down to how weak the defending is. That's been the case all season. That got Will Steele the sack, to be honest with you. How weak the defending is and how poor the finishing is at the other end. They are so shit in both boxes. That's the problem. That's the problem. It's such a basic thing to say, but they can't keep goals out and they can't score enough either. And yeah, what they do in between is actually not too bad.
Yeah, and they get a fair few chances as well, don't they? So your point is absolutely right there. It is worth mentioning as well that Hull have been absolutely ravaged by injuries. Sergei Yakievich said his side only had 12 senior players fit for this game. So it makes the result all the more impressive for Hull and all the more damning for Saints, because Ross Stewart got on the score sheet after coming back from injury, but that's pretty much the only positive to take away because it was another bad showing. The first goal they conceded, a calamitous back pass. I was watching.
Yeah, I know what
I was watching. Are you talking about the Southampton fan? Yes. I was watching back the highlights on this game just to refresh my memory on everything, and a Southampton fan is in the background shouting, "What are you doing?" in the lead up to it, which I thought summed it up perfectly. Honestly, go watch it. That one fan is really it's the highlight of my weekend, to be honest. But yeah, the second goal, a set piece, of which they've conceded an awful lot from this season. I think the goalkeeper probably could have done better with that. And well, Southampton did have chances. It shouldn't mask what was a pretty rotten afternoon for them. There were loud boos at various stages of this game, chants against the owners, which have become very regular at Southampton games recently. And I think the craziest thing here is, Justin, they're basically back where they started, aren't they? After they sacked Will Still. They're not winning games and are nearer to the relegation zone again than the playoffs. It's a big old mess down at Southampton.
It is a huge mess. There's no way of sugarcoating it. I think Tonda Eckert and Will Still are both victims from a regime that is relying too much on spreadsheets. It's a perpetual cycle that they're in, and they're going to stay in until they find a solution to what is the recruitment strategy and the contingency of the managerial situations. For example, Will Still was a good option on paper, but in the context of the position and the situation the club were in terms of losing a lot of games, you need a bit more personality. And Tonda Eckert, as good as a coach he's rated as, doesn't emit that same charisma either. Have you seen his post-match press conferences, by the way?
Go on.
He's really intense. Like he really, really, really stares at you. And I look at that and I think you're probably trying to understanding a language that isn't too familiar with you. But he's as well as that, he's just he doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence, if you like, in he's going to turn this around. I think they need a manager with so much personality to come in, and that's what they're missing, because this cycle that they're in is never going to end. It's never going to end.
Well, Tony Rackett said there were some home truths delivered in the dressing room after this game, and that's usually a pretty good indicator that time is running out for a manager, usually, isn't it? But yeah, to echo your point, I feel sorry for him because he is a bit of a victim in all this. Southampton have been a terribly run club pretty much ever since the owners, Sports Republic, came in. This was a club who had spent 10 straight seasons in the Premier League and then got relegated in their first full season running the shop. And in that time, they've had one good season, which is when they got promoted the last time they were in the Championship, and they had one of the strongest squads in the division anyway. Took a playoff final for them to actually get promoted. So they've spent a lot of money in that time and not had many success stories from that recruitment, which is very data-led, as you say. They're very spreadsheet-heavy, but it often seems to be too data-led in my eyes. It's not just transfers, though. It's managers as well. There was George Rees-Julian is the Southampton reporter for the Southampton Echo, and he's made the point that they've had 4 managers now in the space of just over 12 months, all of whom are very different to each other. There's no joined-up thinking there with Southampton. They sacked Will Still. It was a pretty inexperienced manager, and replaced him with a manager who's even more inexperienced. Yep. So that's why I have sympathy for Tony Rackett. The bloke's the youngest manager in Championship history. If he's going to be offered the job, he's going to take it. I know he did unbelievably well as the caretaker, and it's easy for me to sit here now and say they shouldn't have appointed him in hindsight. But it was always a risk putting him in charge. And look, I don't know why things have gone so bad all of a sudden, because they were playing really well at the start of Eckert's reign. But what I do know is a team with the likes of Adam Armstrong, Taylor Harwood-Bellis, Finn Azaz, Flynn Downs, etc. I could go on. That should not be 15th and 10 points off the playoffs. Simple as that, Justin.
Yep, that is as simple as that. This team cannot be 15th, not on the quality it possesses. But I think football stretches way past quality, and this just lends to the argument that we've had about being spreadsheet led with what they do. You need to build a squad that's full of character and personality. You need confidence. This team has got none of that, absolutely none of that. I feel like the saleable assets that they've got in that squad are very, very low, like some Harwood-Bellis that you've mentioned. Actually can't think of too many others, really. Recruitment has been done on a computer when it should be stretching to the other variables that aren't the tangible elements in sport, in football. It's the character, it's your personalities. That's what Southampton have been missing since Sport Republic took over.
Yeah, it's a big week ahead for Southampton as well. They've got Sheffield United at home on Wednesday, and then, Justin, it's the South Coast Derby next Sunday.
Yum.
Portsmouth v Southampton. A bad week for Tony Rackett, and you would say that's almost certainly the end of the line for him at Southampton. You would have thought so anyway. And finally, we'll finish off with Portsmouth, who got just their second away win of the season with a 1-0 victory at Sheffield Wednesday. 3-word review for Wednesday. Jenna says, end it already. Yeah, this result, Justin, means it's now mathematically impossible for Sheffield Wednesday to win the league, which is a real shame. The dream is over.
The dream is over, but the playoffs is still a possibility, Ryan.
Yes, I suppose you're right.
Spin it. That's
if they won every game, would they actually do it, or would other results? Other results would probably mean they wouldn't do it. Yeah,
you're relying a lot on teams above them losing. It's not in their
probably.
Control.
Yeah. Anyway, what did you think of this game?
I thought it was interesting. What I liked about it really is the way Portsmouth scored their goal. I thought it was incisive. I think it's probably telling of both positions that each team are in. We didn't know whether there was going to be 2 11s when we were speaking about this game in the preview show. Both teams were ravaged by injuries, but Portsmouth getting the win is hugely important. There's not much you can take away from a footballing perspective for Sheffield Wednesday. They're in the position they're in, but for Portsmouth to get the win in a clean sheet was great. The way they scored the goal, as I mentioned, was great. 3 passes it took. 3 passes from Schmidt in goal all the way to the other end to get the finish to Segicic was brilliant. I don't know if it's bad defending from Sheffield Wednesday or just really good incisive play from Portsmouth.
Yeah, well, usually a game between 24th and 21st at this stage of the season is a 6-pointer, but that's obviously not the case in this game. And look, it wasn't a game full of quality, it's got to be said. Wednesday were perhaps unfortunate to lose, but this season is the embodiment of the stop, he's already dead meme for them, isn't it? Because this result means they've now equalled their club record for the longest run of games without a win, which is 20, and this season could get even more miserable because Barry Bannon has been linked with a move away. Justin, Sky Sports say there's a lot of interest in him, including from Millwall, Preston and Stoke, as well as a few clubs in Scotland. His contract is up at the end of the season. What do we think to that, Peachy?
I think it's rough. I think it's sad as well, and it's just a situation that Sheffield Wednesday are in. It's interesting to try and understand the motivation behind it, but you're not going to know unless Bannon actually does make the move. I've heard murmurs of the World Cup. Come on, 36-year-old who's not been involved since 2017 in the international squad. No.
If Barry Bannon gets into the Scotland squad for the World Cup, I will be fucking delighted, Justin.
Oh, I will be delighted as well. But he's not been called up since 2017. Why is he going to get called up now?
Oh, have you seen his form this season? He's rolling back the years, mate.
They're on minus points. They're on minus points.
Get him alongside John McGinn. Match made in heaven.
Brilliant. But I don't know. I don't know what to make of it because it's not like Pedersen, the Sheffield Wednesday manager, filled anyone with any confidence in his post-match pressers. Yeah, he was pretty much not ruling it out, which is staggering. I feel like if I'm going to throw my 2 pence in, I feel like his family is settled in the area. He's not going to Millwall, who are rumoured to be interested. He's probably going to stay in and around where he lives now. So it's going to be a club in the north somewhere.
Well, when you think back to the summer, there was a lot of interest in Barry Bannon then, but he decided to stay with Wednesday because despite accepting vastly lower terms than what he was on before. So, yeah, when you think about that and what you mentioned there about him, obviously being very settled within the area, it does seem like a bit of a head scratcher that he may leave now. But I assume it's all down to raising money because we mentioned before how there were reports that Wednesday may not have enough for the remainder of the season if the takeover weren't to go through for whatever reason. I've seen a report today that they have to pay £500,000 in the coming weeks as part of the deal they did to get Ike Ugbo, who ironically has been a terrible signing. So the vultures are definitely circling here because clubs know that Wednesday have to sell. And yeah, you mentioned Bannon and his motivations behind it. I guess for him, he's helping the club he loves raise much needed funds. And he's one of Wednesday's best players still. And if you're a championship club, you're able to get him for a few grand, you're going to take it, aren't you? So unfortunately, I don't think it would be a shock if he does go. I've seen Max Lowe and Bailey Cadamartri have also been linked with moves away. I wouldn't be surprised if there are a couple of others who were to go before the window closes. But there's going to be exits of some sort. It just depends who it's going to be. But, Wednesday aren't exactly in a position to be putting big price tags on these players, are they? While we're on transfer news, Justin, Portsmouth have been busy this past week. They've completed a double signing. Milanic Ali on loan from Luton, who was quite impressive with them last season, wasn't he? And your friend of mine, Ibu Adams, on a permanent deal from Derby. Only problem with that signing, though, Justin, is that the picture they put out announcing the move, Ibu was holding the pen upside down. Oh, Ibu.
That's peak Ibu, though. That's peak Ibu Adams. I don't know how to sum him up, but him holding the pen the wrong way round, I think is the perfect way to sum him up. But you can't hate him. But what you all didn't see is he got the pen in hand. You only saw the output, the picture, upside down pen, but he got the pen in the hand. That's what he does. He does the dirty work they don't see, Ryan.
What do you mean? Picking
He's
up
got
the
the pen in hand. What I'm trying to say
you lost your mind?
He's struggling with the pen. That's what I'm trying to analyse here.
What are you talking about? This is the problem with these live shows because Justin's just spouting nonsense and we can't edit this out now because I have no idea what you're talking about.
He's got the pen in his hand. That's all he's done. You didn't see it.
Still don't understand what you mean. But yeah, I think we should say that we've had a few people in the second tier Discord ask why Derby have let him go because we were singing his praises no end last season, weren't we? And we gave him an honourable mention in our championship team of the season. That's how good he was last season. This season, he's not been at the same level, has he? He's lost his place in the team. And look, I'll always say, off the ball, Ibu Adams is one of the best midfielders in the division. Works his socks off. Brilliant at winning the ball back. On the ball, he's probably one of the worst midfielders in the division. He's not the most technically gifted player on earth, is he? Bless his soul. And I think last season he stood out in a poor team. This season, with Derby doing better, they've just outgrown him, I think. Would you say that's fair, Justin?
Probably is. I was sad to see him go because I think he was the reason why Derby got promoted from League One, and I think he was the reason that Derby stayed up in the Championship as well, other than John Eustace. I think his output off the ball does a lot more than just winning the ball back. It gets the crowd up, it gets his teammates up, and that's something that you can't really buy. Is he's a momentum shifter in games. I think as well as that, the best way to sum him up is that miss against Cardiff last season.
Oh yeah.
He wins the ball back brilliantly. He sprints, and then he emits one of the worst misses in Championship history.
Yes,
that's just him. That's him. That's how.
An absolute classic of the genre. That miss was, top class stuff. But yeah, I think he's a great signing for Portsmouth. I will say that, Pompey fans, they need a bit of steel in midfield, I think. So he can definitely provide that because, as I say, you won't find anyone who covers more ground than Ibu flipping Adams. But there we go, ladies and gents. That's been the Second Tier podcast, and this is the polls where we pull out the questions to our viewers on this occasion. We usually put it out on Twitter, but we're going to start doing these in the YouTube live stream comments section. The first poll we put out was this, Justin. Are West Brom a genuine relegation candidate, yes or no?
No, I don't think they are. He's too defensive.
Not sure about that. 62% of people said no, they are not. 38% said yes. This next one is about Millwall. Are they automatic promotion contenders? You were saying no earlier, Justin. I assume you're standing by that?
Yeah, they are. I don't think they are.
62% of people agree with you. They don't think they are either. 38% said yes. And finally, what's your preferred brand of pen? Bic, Parker, or Papermate?
Good question.
Is Biro not getting a mention there? Come on, producer Tom. Sort your flipping pen brands out.
I've got a pen that I don't think is any of them. It's like I remember having it from school. It's like a red pen. It's a red tube, basically, and I can't remember what it is. But I swear by them.
Have you lost your mind again?
No,
what are you talking about?
You're asking me about pens, and I'm trying to give you my 2 pence worth about pens. There's been a lot of pen talk in the last 5 minutes. I didn't prepare myself for pen talk. But, yeah, if you, I'd go with Bic then. Fine. Same as a razor.
What's that pen where you can push the little things down and it has a different colour ink? Whichever one you use.
Fuck do I know?
No, that's absolutely fair. That's what I would go as the best pen, though. It's always a bit mad, isn't it, how Bic make razors and pens? That's a very broad church, isn't it, for your production line? But I'm not going to complain about it. Justin is apparently talking about Stabilo pens, according to producer Tom. There you go.
There we go. This.
You happy now? Do you feel justified? 50% of people said Bic is their preferred choice of pen. Parker got 30%. Papermate said 20%. So Parker's the really fancy ones, I think. Parker pens.
Wrong.
Not fountain. They're just really fancy pens.
Like
anyway. Let's end the shambles here. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Second Tier podcast. If you're a Patreon subscriber or a YouTube community member, don't go anywhere. We've got the extended edition of the weekend show coming up, which we'd like to call some more time. We'll be talking about the latest in the Josh Sargent fallout and the worst dream dinner party guests you can imagine. If you're not signed up yet, audio listeners can head over to patreon.com/second tier. Link is in the description of this episode. And for YouTube viewers, just hit the join icon right next to the subscribe button on our channel page. We'll be going live in a separate stream in just a few minutes, so stick around and join in with the conversation over there. Otherwise, that's just about time for us here on the Second Tier podcast. A big thank you if you have been watching us live tonight on our first ever live weekend show. We greatly appreciate it. This is going to be a regular thing now over the course of the season, so we'll see you again next weekend at 6:30 on Sunday. Otherwise, we'll be back again on Thursday with a look at all the midweek games in the Championship. So we'll see you then for that. But this has been the Second Tier podcast. I've been Ryan Dilks.
I've been Justin Peach.
And a big thank you for watching.